So, welcome to another episode of the Campus Comics Cast. It is the official podcast for Muddy Monster Comics and Collectibles. I am joined. My name's Scott Reed, and I'm joined on this episode by
Mike Atchison
and Shaad Schubert.
Yeah, and Muddy Monster Comics is located at 1422 Walnut Street in Murfreesboro, Illinois. You can contact the store through Facebook or call 618-457-6011. The store is currently open Tuesday to Saturday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And it's once again time for us to cover the previews catalog. This is the June previews catalog for items that are generally shipping in August. But before we dig into that too terribly much, I do want to remind everyone about an upcoming event at the shop. We're going to have the first Muddy Monster Mini-Con. This is going to be July 24th, 2021. And Muddy Monster Comics will be hosting Jason Font. Jason played the Red Ranger in Power Rangers Time Force, and then many other iterations of the Power Rangers from 2001 to 2015. So stop by to meet a Power Ranger, get something signed. There are also going to be several other guests there, including Brian K. Morris, who's an author. And then Justin Holman will be there. He's an artist at both Marvel and Zenescope. And then Nathan Bonner is going to be there, who is the artist that is working on the first Muddy Monster comic book, which will hopefully be out later this year. So anything to add before we dig into the DC Connect?
No, I don't think so. I think you nailed all the points.
All right, we got all the points. Well, here's one point, is that DC apparently doesn't want to sell us any comic books because they made it impossible to find the DC Connect this month. So they don't even have it on their own website. So we're using it from a third-party source, Lunar Distribution, who has the distribution rights for DC books. I noticed they added Scout books now as well. So they are not only just DC, but they're also Scout. We had to use their site to get the DC Connect. So what up, DC?
They're just DC's just a small startup company. They have their stuff together. Give them a minute.
Yeah, they haven't caught up to this internet thing yet.
Even their parent company, I don't know what's that. That's
Warner
some
Brothers.
Weird name, AT&T or something.
Yeah.
Have they been around? Yeah. It is disappointing though, because you just expect more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like Previews has been probably holding their hand all this time and just, we'll get it for you, we'll take care of it. And without that, they don't have that strong backbone.
Yeah, I thought they've been doing pretty well, but the last couple of months they've kind of dropped the ball, and I feel like they're putting things in that are not 2 months out. It's like, oh, by the way, this is out now. We forgot to tell you this was coming.
Yeah. They got some intern probably in charge of that.
Yeah. You mean Jim Lee? Jim Lee interning at DC. So all right, so I guess it's Batman month.
Looks like it.
Batman Connect.
When isn't it?
Well, it seems like it's a little bit more so than it usually is. I mean, there's a huge portion of this and lots of new Batman books. So if you're a Batman fan, this is a good month for you. So
I heard somebody say once that they used the analogy.
They said, I am Batman?
No.
Sorry.
They said Batman is California. Because California is like, what, the fourth or fifth biggest economy in the world? And that's what Batman is to DC Comics, or maybe to comics, period. And, it's like its own brand, or, it's that big of a seller, any Batman comic. So every time I hear this guy say Batman is California, I think about that.
Well, I'd say Batman is either... Well, it could be 1, 2, or 3. I'm trying to figure out what else would be bigger. Maybe Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then Superman. I don't know. I don't feel like Superman sells super well, but no pun intended. But
you just don't even have to try, do you, Scott?
Yeah, that's right. It just all comes natural. Just flows right off the mouth. Anyway, so on page 1 we have Batman the World. Now this is kind of a nifty idea. So we got 14 different Batman stories with 14 international teams telling a Batman story from 14 different countries. So single book, $25, which doesn't sound terrible for 160 pages, hardcover. So doesn't sound like a terrible deal. So this sounds like a pretty good deal. So any of the creators teams sticking out or jumping out at anybody?
I mean, Azarel and Bermejo obviously are the first ones listed. That cover by Bermejo looks awesome.
Oh,
none of the other ones looked super familiar to me.
Yeah, me neither. So you aren't alone on that. Yeah, I do not recognize, but I don't know. Maybe it'd be a good introduction. So
absolutely, the page counts got me just not worried, but it just is a little underwhelming for the amount of creative teams. You're looking at probably 10 page stories, so not a lot of meat potentially in those. It's more of just like what you would get from the big anniversary issues that they'll do with just small stories to grab it. So nothing to really. That's the only part that I was a little bummed out. I'd like to see maybe the split out into 4 issues and give those teams a little bit more to do.
Right.
Well,
I think get to 11. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm just going to say that's sort of risk aversion. If you stick with the small stories, you don't turn if there's one bad or not so good story. Well, if it's only 8 or 10 pages, then no big deal. If it's 30 pages, that's kind of a turnoff. But I think when they're testing the waters, maybe with new creators, it makes creative sense to do it this way. And as a consumer, I think I'd rather do that anyway, because I really don't want to invest myself my first time out with any of these creators with a long story. But I get what you're saying. It's going to be a lot of little teasers and small stuff, but I think it looks really good. And I like Scott said, I think it's a really nifty idea.
Yeah. Well, and knowing DC, they'll definitely take if something hits really well, they'll spun out of Batman the World, and they'll take that creative team and give them their own little mini or something.
Running into the ground. Well, I mean, they do get 10 to 12 pages. I mean, really, each story could even be 11 pages,
That's true. Yeah.
Which is half of a comic.
Mm-hmm.
So I figure they kind of are, be some that are 10, some that are 12.
Yeah.
Enough. I figure they're going to give the artist and writer enough pages to tell their story, however brief that it's going to be. So, I don't know. It does look interesting, and this could be an indication of what the future of comics is going to look like. So
that's true, and I hope that they don't. I mean, I don't like house styles. I mean, every company's kind of at one point or another known to or been accused of having a house style, which is okay. But I do like when they let creators or artists, kind of show their stuff off without any compulsion to be meeting some artistic standards or something that the company says. So
so some of these interiors look pretty cool. Some of the interiors they gave, like the China one looks awesome. The one from France, I'm all in on. Like, so I'm definitely interested to see, because you're right. Yeah, they're not streamlined. There's definitely they're getting to do their own style.
It looks like Robin's wearing Mickey Mouse ears, though, in the Chinese one as well.
Yes.
Oh, he does. Well, yeah, okay.
But it's still, the Batman armor, though, does look really, really cool.
Yeah.
In the China one.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. So the second Batman book for DC, listed on page 4, Batman Fear State Alpha. James Tynion the Fourth. This is I forgot to look to see if this, I feel like this is going to be a one shot. Does it say any place?
Well, no, it says that it's
because it's an alpha book. Yeah.
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 So it'll be an Amigo probably.
Yeah, exactly. Crossover several other books. So I don't really have anything to say about this one. So I guess if you're going to pick up the Fear State storyline, then you should definitely grab this one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been picking up Batman. I think I'm stopping. I think I told Mike already. I'm stopping on Batman just because I'm this latest version of Scarecrow that they've introduced is, I'm not a fan of the art with Jorge Jimenez. I think we talked about this last episode. I don't like going straight from. I mean, it's only been about 6 or 8 months since we had the Joker War Batman crossover. Uh, I think I picked a good time to quit getting this. Although obviously I'm going to more than make up for it with some other buys, probably in the big book. But I'm sort of peeling away a little bit from my DC, you know, you know, stick to itiveness. I'm going to be branching out a bit.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed that on these first two Batman books, I'm assuming that these first two books are Bruce Wayne, though no place do they say that it's Bruce Wayne, Batman.
Right.
So, which I mentioned because on page 6 we get "I am Batman" #0. That it's crazy that it's taken them that long to come up with that to use that as a title.
Yeah.
I am Batman. As often as people say that. So here we've got John Ridley writing, and here they're calling him Jace Fox instead of Tim Fox, and then later on it's Tim Jace Fox.
Oh,
that's been part of the story in the Second Son series in the next Batman, and it highlights John Ridley's writing that as well, and Jace used to be Tim. I'm sorry. Yeah, it used to be Tim, and he changed his name.
I think it's still Tim, because later they say Tim, and then in quotes Jace Fox.
Well, in the current series, when his family, it's just like if you go home and all of a sudden you go to the next family get together and you've changed your name to Bill, and you're like, sorry, Mom and Dad, my name's not Scott anymore, it's Bill.
Yeah,
and that's
how well would that work with your family?
With who? My family?
Yeah.
No.
So you go to the next family reunion, Mike, and you say, start calling me Kevin. How many people are going to call you Kevin?
No, and that's what the big part of the story is. I don't really get it because I don't know what the motivation yet is for Tim Fox / Jace Fox to change his name. It seems a little bit, self-absorbed type stuff. But he's, I don't know. John Ridley's a good writer, so I'm hoping he has a really good reason for it. But that's why you're seeing this whole Jace thing. Maybe there's a good reason for it. Who knows?
And we'll be talking about John Ridley later.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
I'm doing a real-time review here.
See, if you wouldn't have said anything, nobody would know. So.
Oh, they would know.
But now it's out there, so,
Yeah. So they haven't said how many. This isn't. I guess I Am Batman's supposed to be a continued story. It's ongoing. It's not limited series. It doesn't look like as of yet.
I'm assuming so.
Yeah. Well, I think you're seeing the next book up here is the trade for the Second Son.
Yeah.
So I think this is a continuation of that.
Okay.
And I've only read the first issue of that so far, so that's just a guess.
I gotcha. Yeah, and they're bouncing. I guess that's the full collection, because that was a digital first, right? That they did with the next Batman.
Right.
Okay.
Was it? I thought that was the that came out of like the Infinite whatever.
Future State?
Future State, thank you.
Well, yeah, they had a story about that. It was actually, whatever time that is, there were stories with him as the Batman fighting this guy called the Magistrate and his collective, or his, and you can in this series, the next Batman Second Son, it's basically now and the building of that sort of Big Brothers watching. It's Gotham City almost going under martial law, and all crime fighting and costumes and masks are outlawed. So it's all connecting.
Yeah, because they don't say any place in there that was a digital first. I didn't think that it was.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it. Yeah.
Who knows? Not me. I don't know. So
only the Shadow knows.
Yeah. Page 9, we got the next addition to what I'm still referring to as Milestone, with Hardware, season 1. So we got a 6-issue series here. Got Dennis Cowan, doing the art, and Bill Sienkiewicz doing. I assume he's doing the inks. So usually he's doing a lot of inking, primarily seems like lately. So
yeah.
I don't know. Anything for 12?
On 10, just mentioning that this is the end of the short crossover of Lock and Key and Sandman, Hell and Gone. we'll see that this gets collected in IDW later on in the big book. But yeah, this is the second issue and final issue of the crossover.
Yeah, it's listed as issue number 2, but it's a one shot. What?
It's very confusing.
That is very confusing. So, all right, Mike Atchison, I'm looking at you. Page 12.
It's the
Batman
only
89.
one and only movie I ever went to a midnight showing debut. And I took my then girlfriend at the time, our fiance, I guess we were. Yeah, Batman 89 by the original writer of the Batman screenplay,
Yeah.
or was he the director? Sam Hamm.
That was the screenwriter, yeah.
Right,
Screenwriter. Okay,
That
yeah,
was Burton was
Yeah.
the director, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
right. Okay, so Sam Hamm is writing this Batman 89 comic. It's a one shot. And, oh, I'm sorry. No, wait. Oh, yeah, it's a one shot, isn't it? I see 1 of 6, but maybe that's the variance there. Okay, sorry, folks. We do know what we're doing here.
It is. I think it's 6 issues.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah. I believe this is going to be 6 issues. And I suspect that if this sells well, it will go longer than 6 issues.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that's got any nostalgia at all will pick this up. If you're of a certain age, it's basically Tim Burton's seminal classic Batman movie, bringing in the screenwriter Sam Hamm. He wrote both Batman and Batman Returns, and artist Joe Quinones from Dial H for Hero. So, yeah, I think this will be a big hit. I think they'll have this will sell really well. I'm going to predict about 80,000 copies what this will sell, maybe more.
Okay. Wow.
I'm excited just to see the vision that they had from the first 2 Batman movies kind of continue, because I know that obviously the Billy D. Williams was our Harvey Dent.
Mhm.
Getting a Two-Face version of that looks like we're going to get that in the variant cover right away.
Mhm.
And you hear all these stories of how they were going to cast and what they were going to do with these movies before Tim Burton didn't have control or lost control or gave up control or whatever of the franchise. I think there was even like one of the Wayans brothers was going to be Robin or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So I wonder how much of those stories and plots will they like kind of pull on and continue post that.
Well, maybe it's a good thing you lost control of it then. Oh, because we saw what happened when they let Jim Carrey play the Riddler,
Right.
So it just. So then on page 13, we got Superman 78. So, for all the people out there who miss Christopher Reeves as Superman, you're going to also get a 6-issue series for Superman 78. I really wish I could get a hold of this book before Superman Celebration, but that unfortunately it's coming out about a month after. So,
yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. So, but I'd expect that one will sell probably as well as the Batman 89, I would think.
So we've had now Batman 66, Wonder Woman 77, now Superman 78, and Batman 89.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you guys excited about this one?
All the Superman movies to me were good, and like the first 2 were good until the very end, and then they kind of fell apart for me.
Yeah.
So I expect that this will be good for 4.5 issues, and the last issue and a half will be mind numbing. But who knows? Robert Venditti's a pretty good writer, so it could be good.
I do think Lex's likeness to Gene Hackman's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
That the artist, it's not a great cover per se, but and that Margot Kitty or Lois is as Margot, or as the actress Margot Kidder, not bad either. So
I'll pick it up.
Yeah, I probably will at least pick up the first issue.
Yeah.
All right, you got anything for 17?
Nothing that. Oh gosh, are you kidding me? They're making a Clown Hunter book. Oh, it's a Secret Files. Please, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just this.
This
I
is
don't even
fresh for
talk.
some people, so you're getting live reactions from Mike
I like
Atchison
that.
as he flips through the DC Connect catalog.
Yeah, it's like a live watching of a movie. Yeah.
Just remember, we are a non-explicit podcast, so if this is something that you don't like,
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, the day that Scott has to put a big E on our podcast to be the time to be the day he kicks me off of it.
So on 17, we have a 7-issue series, Pennyworth #1. So Alfred, since he's no longer, I guess he's not alive in the current DC universe, or does Future State Infinite Frontier, does that bring him back? I don't know. But we're going to get James Bond, Alfred Pennyworth for 7 issues.
Yes.
So
He's not back yet.
okay,
It's this is filling in the gap from the Pennyworth TV show that was on Epix to, I guess, the Alfred that gets the young Bruce Wayne and takes care of him.
This is not part of the DC universe history. This is part of the TV history.
Yeah, it's spinning off of that, which I don't know if you guys saw it, but it wasn't entertaining to me.
I didn't watch the first series. I saw a couple of seasons of Gotham, and they kind of I just didn't like some of the plot lines, so I kind of gave up on it. So
Yeah.
Okay. I just all of a sudden lost interest in this book. I thought it was part of DC proper, so that would be better. 18, Aquaman 80th anniversary special.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Wonder Woman, Green Arrow, they had 10, 12 covers, 15 covers for all these, and poor Aquaman. He gets one cover. I mean, what? They no decades books for Aquaman.
I love the cover. They can't make up their mind whether they want him to be the plain Jane, just blonde, orange tunic, green pants Aquaman, or do they want him to be the rough and tough Aquaman with the beard? So they give him a little short beard, a nice tight beard. So it's not like they're really going really one way or the other. Pretty lame attempt, I think.
They played it safe.
Yeah, definitely played it safe.
I can't believe all the other books that have multiple covers, and this book doesn't get even a second cover.
Yeah, well.
But anyway, we did an Aquaman 80th story, a few episodes back. I probably should have looked up the episode number while I was on, but I forgot to do that. So.
Okay. Here's some Aquaman trivia for you.
Uh-oh.
And if any listeners want to send, the first listener that sends in the answer, a correct answer.
So does they have to contact you on Twitter?
They have to contact me on Twitter, or they have to contact me through you, Scott, because I don't pay attention. I will give them a comic that's worth at least $10. But they have to answer this question. What is right now you see on this cover, Aquaman riding his trusty seahorse, his steed. What's that seahorse's name? In the comics. So there you go, listeners. Let us know. The first person that gets a hold of us, I'll get you a comic.
Okay, I don't have anything till page 51. So
you don't want to talk about the flip book?
I don't want to talk about the flip book because presented like this, it looks silly. I mean, it's like the running poses is like, hey. It's pretty bad. I mean, I don't
want to buy it. I just want to see somebody do it.
The variant cover is a little bit better.
Yeah, the variant cover is kind of cool.
Yeah, but not so much. So we're talking about the Batman Superman 2021 annual #1 is what we were talking about. So, and a flip book. So two covers. This gets 2 covers, but Aquaman doesn't get 2 covers. This and Aquaman.
Very next page, Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Is Green Lantern 2021 annual. Now I'm pretty sure there are only about 3 or 4 issues into this Green Lantern volume, and they already have an annual. But I've read the first 2 issues, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit. The covers depicting Jessica Cruz as a newly inducted member of the Sinestro Corps. So, am I missing something, or does that look like Shadowlass over there? Is that a citizen of Talak 8? I think that was the world she was from in Legion. She's the shadow casting type. I'm
Gone
the-
way over my head. So when you say Shadow Lass, I thought you're talking Legion of Superheroes, right?
I am, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, it shouldn't be a Legion character since this is not in the future.
Right.
But,
so that looks very much like Shadow Lass with the blue skin, and but they put Phantom Girl in the what was that Jeff Lemire book that was sort of a ripoff of Fantastic Four, the Terrifics. Phantom Girl, but she was like an ancestor of the Legion Phantom Girl. So it might be something like that. Just an observation.
So I guess we should mention that June has, like for DC, June has 5 Tuesdays, right? As opposed to 5 Wednesdays for the rest of Comicdom. So that's why we're getting all the annuals, which are typically 5th week books for certain months. So we've got like Green Lantern annual, we've got a Harley Quinn annual, you got a Suicide Squad annual, you got a Midnighter annual, which I don't think Midnighter has a solo series right now.
But the Midnighter annual is a tie-in to the Superman and the Authority. So if you're going to get that, you're going to have to get that Midnighter annual.
Yep. And Mike Atchison, the Midnighter annual also has Mr. Miracle. So just as an FYI.
Awesome.
Yep. Yeah. My next thing's not till 51. So you guys have anything before 51? Kind of hit the trades a little bit.
I had on 28. I just thought it was an interesting story for children's age. The Batman and Robin and Howard book that Jeffrey Brown is doing, which I totally dig the Darth Vader and Son and the Goodnight Darth Vader and all those books that he did. Plus, I really like his kind of autobiographical stuff that he's done through like Fantagraphics or whatever it is. But yeah, I thought this was kind of a neat story. It doesn't actually go on sale until November. They've got a lot of stuff in DC's book that's now you'd mentioned like they've got a lot of stuff that's, hey, we forgot this is here, but then they also have a lot of things that are way far out in their book too. But yeah, just it's a more on a kid's side. It's Damien going to school, and he has this kid named Howard that becomes kind of an enemy to him, and so it's probably a cool little kids thing, kind of in the same vein as the Jedi Academy stuff that he's done.
We do get to see, starting on page 32, some of the free comic book day books from DC. So speaking of Batman and Robin and Howard, that's going to be another flip book with Amethyst, right? And then there's a Beast Boy Loves Raven. Oh my gosh, I went totally television. Raven. So that could be interesting. Beast Boy, no. And then we've got the Batman, which has got a preview of I Am Batman and Batman Fear State, and then Suicide Squad King Shark. So, because they haven't, I don't think they've printed any of those books yet. Well, they probably won't print them in the previews catalog. So I guess DC figures they got to put them someplace.
Yeah, that's a good point. Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything else before 51?
Nope.
All right, so page 51. Now I got to get to page 51, so I guess I should have been scrolling a little bit more quickly. So we have Detective 1042. All right, which they mentioned there's going to be a new villain, but they really don't say who the new villain is. But we've got.
They say it in the page before.
The
Jury is the name of the new villain.
Okay. See, I somehow totally missed that. I just scrolled right past 1041. Okay, so, and I guess the Jury is associated with Mr. Worth, who is this, he was just introduced, I don't know what, issue like 1012 or 1013 of Detective. Or no, it had to have been later than that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So Mr. Worth is bringing in, I guess, the equivalent of his sidekick, which sounds like it's a group, not so much an individual. So. Then my next thing's not till 86. Anything for 86?
Nope.
And we have a whole lot to say about DC this month, don't we? So, all right. So, age 86 for all of you Super Pets fans. Right. Wonder Girl, the Yara Flor demoted Wonder Woman, is getting her Super Pet in issue 4 of Wonder Girl, Jerry the Pegasus. It's like that's the best name you could come up with is Jerry. So, but anyway, so we got Jerry the Pegasus being introduced in Wonder Girl issue 4. So, all right, anything else DC for anybody?
I'm at the very end. They just have the Hill House box set of pretty much everything under the Hill House imprint. And they collect. This is the only place that you'll, I guess, be able to get Sea Dogs, the collected thing, which was a little pickup story on the back of at the end of all of the issues of Hill House books. And so they've collected that in its own trade, and you can't, I guess, buy that alone. So only comes in the box set.
Or probably put it up digital.
Or that.
Yeah. We'll see if they stick to that. So,
That's right.
Or
next month it'll be in listed by itself.
Yep. I don't know. Anything else DC for anybody?
I'm still scrolling through, but nothing's jumping out at me.
Okay, yeah. I mean, lots of trades and the like from DC, but so I guess we're ready to head over to Marvel.
Yeah.
Why not?
All right. So big news for Marvel: the Fantastic Four turned 60. We've already done a Fantastic Four story, right? Where we did everybody.
We did.
Did we do that? Yeah. Okay. All right. So I was saying we should do that for a future episode, but we've actually already done that. So. And once again, I don't remember what episode number, but FF turns 60 this year. And probably the most interesting thing about this issue to me is that Mark Waid is returning to write a backup story for the Fantastic Four. And then John Romita Jr. is also returning to do some artwork, I think, on the main story. So you got JR back and Mark Waid returning to the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
So,
well, Mark Waid, the issues or the storyline that I covered when we all covered a favorite, that was written by the one I covered was written by Mark Waid. Mike Rowingo, always have a hard time pronouncing his name. He did the art, and yeah, that we could always do it again if you wanted. I mean, that was fun.
Well, I figured we got some other characters getting their anniversary soon. We'll focus in on those since we've already done the FF. So, page 4. So we said we were going to mention Jordan Ridley's name again later in the podcast. Well, here it is. So with Ta-Nehisi Coates leaving Black Panther, it looks like John Ridley will be taking over writing duties on Black Panther, starting with a new issue number 1.
Oh.
So I will definitely give that a shot and get John Ridley's vision for the Black Panther. So
very nice.
I got page 10 is my next thing.
You can go ahead.
All right, so we've got a Kang the Conqueror 5-issue series. Marvel has done pretty well with some of their villain books lately. The Doctor Doom series was good. Some people have spoken highly of like the Juggernaut series. Taskmaster had a series. U.S. Agent, though not technically a villain, he kind of falls into that gray area type of a character. Those have received some pretty good praise. So here we're getting to Kang the Conqueror, and with rumors of Kang for various future Marvel projects. If you are not familiar with the character, this might be a good chance to get an introduction to Kang the Conqueror.
Have to check that out. On, well, I guess that's 12 is speaking of villain books. They've got a mini series for the Trial of Magneto. That it will be like it's a 5-issue mini series with Leah Williams as the writer and Lucas Wernick as the artist. I'm just excited for them to actually be doing a mini series out of their current X-Men slate of stories, because it just seems like there's so much of everything going on that this will be a good story to just kind of be able to pick up. And that JR variant cover looks pretty cool of that. So, and it looks like it's gonna be like a murder mystery potentially. So that seems interesting.
I'm so far behind on X-Men. It's sad.
Me too.
So, it was just
like I could just pick up this little 5-issue and just enjoy a little X-Men without having to worry about everything else. Maybe.
I wish had done like 2 to 4 books for X-Men. They brought it into one series, and then it just exploded into too many titles. It just felt overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So 16. Would somebody else like to talk about this? You're gonna make me talk about it.
Is that the Deadpool?
Yeah. Okay. So we got Deadpool Black, White, and Blood. So it's another one of those. I don't know. I guess we have like the Carnage book, and of course DC's got black and white for Batman, and gold for Wonder Woman, and blue and red for Superman. So we have another one of those. It seems like a lot of the Marvel ones are black, white, and blood. There's blood incorporated into them.
Yeah,
Carnage
I think it's the same as the Wolverine one. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got a 5-issue series for the Deadpool fans, of which I am not one. But I figured that'll probably be a decent seller.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. It seems like all those series are doing pretty well. So Deadpool's probably a no-brainer for those that are into the character.
Page 20. Anything for 20? No. Okay, so Defenders #1. So we get a new 5-issue series written by Al Ewing, current writer of Immortal Hulk for a few more months. Slightly different team ups. Instead of having the Incredible Hulk, we've got Harpy on the team, and of course we do still have Silver Surfer and Doctor Strange. I believe that's Cloud. And then the Masked Raider, who I think was basically kind of reintroduced in. I'm trying to remember this. There was a one shot, and for some reason I want to say Incoming, but that doesn't sound right. But anyway, he was reintroduced to the Marvel Universe, and I really hadn't noticed him doing anything with that character until now. This is the first time I've seen this character since that series. And I do kind of dig this variant cover by Peach Momoko that with the Silver Surfer kind of looking down over this landscape. It's not her normal style, so I actually think it looks pretty cool. So
Al Ewing's writing, so
should be good.
Yeah.
And then turning over to the next page 22, for all the 1990s fans, Darkhawk is back. Yeah.
With Kyle Higgins writing.
So that is definitely worth mentioning. This is a character I never ever understood myself. So because I haven't read it a whole lot either. So or maybe any. I think the only thing I've even read Darkhawk has been where he's showed up in the Annihilators. I think he appeared in one of some of those issues, but he was just kind of a secondary character. So, but fans of Darkhawk, he's back again. So, page 30 is my next thing.
On 24, just it bears mentioning that there's essentially an Avengers Bandai Namco team up, the Avengers Tech On 6-issue miniseries that just looks like it's made to sell some toys. It's almost a very mech suit Avengers style thing. I don't know. It kind of does look interesting. I mean, the Peach Momoko variant kind of gives you a better idea of potentially maybe what a suit does look like in there. Right. And it's very Transformers-esque in the way that looks.
I wonder if that's going to tie into that Mech Strike series that Marvel just wrapped up last month or month before last, because those were giant mech robots, not just kind of like power armor. This was more like power armor instead of giant suits of armor, but it feels like it should tie in, though it probably is completely unrelated. Let's see, page 30. So we've got a one shot, I think, Spirits of Vengeance, Spirit Rider #1. And I like the concept of this villain, Kushala, a sorcerer supreme, a spirit of vengeance. So we've got this mashup characters of, basically it's Ghost Rider, combined with Doctor Strange. And it looks like, based on the appearance of the character, I think we have a indigenous American as Kushala, and I'm probably butchering that name. But and of course, when you have the writer Taboo, it's kind of hard not to mention Taboo.
Taboo's from the Black Eyed Peas.
That's correct. So, but I don't know. I like the design of this character. I think this character looks cool. So
Yeah, I agree.
I may buy this just for the character design. And 31, we got Marvel's Voices Identity #1. So here we have the Asian American Pacific Islander AAPI creators and characters. So a long list. I think Greg Pak was the name that kind of jumped out to me from the list of creators. But we've got Shang-Chi, Ms. Marvel, Silk, Jubilee, Jimmy Woo, stories for all of these characters in this Marvel's Voices Identity #1.
Mm-hmm.
And then they show some
pickup. That looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they show some variant covers on the next couple of pages for those books. All right. My next thing's not till 46.
Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, well, I guess I better turn the pages faster.
That's right. I was doing the same.
Turn more quickly. All right. So we kind of get an epilogue story for Spider-Man Life Story. So again, there's 5 Wednesdays. Well, wait a minute. This is not coming out until August. Are there 5 Wednesdays in August? When we were talking about that earlier, I was saying in June, but that had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
It's not solicits for June. This is for August. So
there are 5 Tuesdays in August, but only 4 Wednesdays in August.
Oh, okay. So anyway, we're getting an annual from Marvel, Spider-Man Life Story annual #1, written by Chip Zdarsky, Mark Bagley art. So this is again like an epilogue for the Spider-Man Life Story, which was a 5 or 6 issue series, which we talked about on an earlier episode of the Camp of Comics cast. So I guess here, if you want to complete that story, then you'll need to pick up that annual. Let's see. 57 is my next comment.
I'm on 50. There's a Miles Morales Marvel Tales #1. Brian Michael Bendis is doing, and it looks like it's just a collection of some of the kind of original kind of origin story stuff with Miles Morales. So if you're wanting to get into the character, or if you just want to know a little bit more about where it got started from, this is a good kind of jumping off point. I remember when when they had the grand opening of Muddy Monster Comics, there were a couple of people that were like, Miles Morales comics, and that seemed like a very something kids are very interested in, or young readers are interested in, with the movie and the video games and everything. So this would be a good thing to pick up on that side.
Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse solidified Miles Morales as
right
for me, But yeah, this is and this is partly, Marvel wanting to keep their trademark on Marvel Tales. So they got to slap that onto books occasionally. So
back on 55, are either one of you reading the Marvels series by Kurt Busiek?
No, I want to. It seems interesting. I would like to get into it.
Yeah,
I will read that eventually. is how I will put that. So eventually I will read it.
Yeah, I think I will too.
I just gotta, find a way to put it into my reading list. But I'm not even picking up the issues because I figure it'll be a trade read for me.
Yeah, that's probably what I'll do. And then Gamma Flight on the next page. I mean, having read, Immortal Hulk, I'm really wanting to pick this up when it comes out in trade as well.
Looks like we have Gamma Zombies in this issue of Gamma Flight. So
yeah.
And then, of course, on 57, we got the penultimate issue of Immortal Hulk issue number 49.
Yeah.
So, what do I got next? Actually, that's all I have for Marvel. So, I don't know. Anybody else want to mention anything else in the Marvel catalog?
I've got on 74. If you don't have anything before that, Mike.
No.
Okay. On 74 is Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters, one shot for Forlom and Zuckuss. So if you ever wanted to have an actual story around the action figures that you picked up as a child and thought, where did these guys fit in? This will actually give you a story to go off of.
I just
Because I
remember,
remember having these action figures, but I don't ever. I'm like, where did I mean, they were in the background at one point in time.
yep, yeah. What's crazy about the two figures is that they had very little screen time, but they both had unique weapons for the action
Mm,
figures. You didn't use those weapons weren't used on any other figures. So
gotcha.
yeah. So I remember, was it Forlom? No, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting which one is which. So Zuckus is the one on the left in this picture, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I think. And he had like the triple barrel,
Mm.
weapon. I remember that as a child. So okay.
And
Anything
that's
else,
it for
Mark?
me.
Okay, I'm flipping through here really, really fast. They got this ad for these Topps collectible cards. The idea of collecting trading cards on your phone just doesn't quite. It kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I just don't see that. So
I've almost done it like once or twice. I'm like, oh, I wonder what that would be like, and then I go, nah, I'm good.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's one thing if you just want to look at them, but it's like
Hmm.
if that's all you're doing, just go online and look at the list of cards.
Exactly. Exactly.
Here's how I completed my set. I did a search online and I saw them all. All right. Big book.
The big book.
To the big book.
Big book. So page 26. I'm on the wrong side. Got to flip it. We've got the regular monthly ad for the previews catalog. It's crazy that, even with DC not being part of the catalog for the last, 13 months now, the book doesn't seem any thinner.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can, see all the stuff that we do not talk about in the actual physical previews.
Hmm.
So my first thing is image page 40.
Hmm.
Did you want to talk about this one? Did you have it
Sure,
marked
yeah.
already? Okay, yeah.
Echo Lands #1, so a news story through Image. Its writers J.H. Williams III and W. Hayden Blackman, with art also by J.H. Williams III and David Stewart. The story plot didn't really draw me in as much as I wanted to. It seems like it's on the high fantasy side of things. But the artwork really pulled me in. Once I flipped over to the next page and started seeing the preview work, there's just something about J.H. Williams III's artwork that is his layout is just so unique in the way that he lays a page out that kind of was like, okay, I'd read this first issue and see what's up. So the plot, what it kind of goes into. The story of Earth's last war starts with Hope's sticky fingers. So just a high fantasy into the world. It says fantasy, action, adventure, science fiction, horror. I don't know how many more genres they can
Genres, yeah.
fit into that. Romance, maybe.
Romance. I was gonna say, yeah, romance. The one that I was gonna mention. And the artwork is bizarre. I mean, I guess maybe not the artwork is bizarre, but the scene is bizarre. I mean, you have this giant cheeseburger in the sky with a kitty statue,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just the scenery, I guess, is just very, very bizarre. And you got like
Yes.
black and white with comics versus with like sci-fi, and it's just a bizarre mashup of lots of different stuff. The preview pages are very busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something you could probably read a few times and go, oh, I didn't see that the first time, and
Yeah.
just discover something new every time you get into it.
Yeah, like it's in San Francisco is where it's set. I just saw that it's on the
Oh, is
wharf of
it?
San Francisco. Yeah, so it's on that big crab sign there.
That
So
makes sense. Okay.
yeah. So anyway, it's just a crazy mishmash. So Image has a bunch of number ones this month.
Hmm.
So on page 44, we've got King Spawn #1. So Todd McFarlane is adding again to the Spawn line. We had the Spawn Universe issues a few months back, and now we get a new ongoing Spawn series with King Spawn #1.
So there's 6 different artists listed here. Is it picking up a couple of different stories in this, you think, with 56 pages, or are they all handling different things, characters, backgrounds, things of that sort? I mean, the few preview pages we have, it looks like at least the first 2 pages are the same artist. Maybe the third isn't.
Yeah, it's hard for me to say because sometimes certain characters in Spawn books are drawn dramatically different. But I'm going to guess it's more like an anthology because it says that it expands on Spawn Universe, which I remember as it being an anthology.
Oh, okay.
So I think it basically, instead of just calling it Spawn Universe issue 4, they just are going into a new title. So that's my guess anyway. So all the Spawn fans, I have 2 books a month. You can continue to get 2 books a month. So, and then page 48, Eric Larson, not to be outdone by Todd McFarlane, also has now added a second monthly book to Savage Dragon, and that we have Ant, issue number 1. Now, this character I've seen before. I'm trying to remember where. So I'm not sure where the Ant was introduced, or if it's even a Golden Age character, like a public domain character that he is working with. But it's very familiar. I probably should look that up. But again, new number 1 from Eric Larson. It'll be interesting to see if he goes as crazy with it as he has with some recent Savage Dragon books. So, 50. Okay, yeah. The Me You Love in the Dark number 1. Shaad, you might probably have something better to say about this than I do.
I'm not sure. I liked the Middle West. I read the first couple of issues of that, and this is the same creative team, Scotty Young and George Corona, or Jorge Corona. I'm not sure. And the story kind of concept sounded interesting. Just an artist retreating into a creepy old house. The comparisons to Stephen King, Joe Hill, Neil Gaiman kind of immediately pulled me in. That it was, tonally similar to Lock and Key and Graveyard Book, with, as it says, the emotional depth of Middle West. Was like, okay, I'm down for another trip with these 2 to see what they do, because Middle West was a really cool, bizarre Wizard of Oz type story, and so I'm into a haunted house kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't get past issue 1 of Middle West for some reason. And I think a lot of people with Scotty Young, they are expecting him to be the artist on it as well. So, but this story probably wouldn't go well with his art style, I don't think.
No. Yeah.
Page 52, we've got Second Chances number 1, again from Image, another series premiere, number 1, crime mystery, action and adventure. And this book is a little bit of an oddity from Image because it's a black and white. Not even 4-color cover, but black and white interiors. I'm not familiar with either of the creators on this particular book, but new number 1, and I don't know, the last big black and white book from Image was The Walking Dead, so there you go. My next thing's not till 65, so anything?
You can go on my end.
Okay, so page 65, we've got the Labyrinth hardcover, and I kind of like sci-fi, so if I see something nifty looking sci-fi, this kind of fits in. Whenever I saw the title, I was expecting it to be, I was expecting to see like a David Bowie image on this page. But no, completely unrelated. Though it does sound a little bit like Noctera, because we have an 8-wheeled vehicle trundle across a barren landscape. So yeah, we've seen that fairly recently. But this is a one of just a post-apocalyptic sci-fi story from Simon Stalenhag. I'm sure I butchered that name. 75.
I got on 66. It looks like Image has now picked up Lady Mechanica. So this is they're soliciting out the volume 1 hardcover and trade that was previously only offered through Joe Benitez's own line. His, what is it, Benitez Productions or whatever it is. I cannot remember. I've read this all through while it was coming out as he released it. This is a really good trade. He's real wordy. Gets even more wordy as it goes on, but the story is really cool. A robot woman that's kind of this assassin in the steampunk kind of world. I really enjoyed it when it was coming out, and it says it's remastered. So the script has been revised, so and updated lettering. I don't know what all they could do to it, but I guess they could do whatever they want to it. But maybe it's to fit in with future releases to make sure that story all kind of lines up as they continue on through Image.
Yeah, I think the only Lady Mechanical I've read is like there's been at least one free comic book day Lady Mechanica book, and probably multiple. But I did read the free comic book day book.
Yeah.
75. Okay.
On 69, they've got the Radiant Black Volume 1, the Kyle Higgins book that it seems like it's been picking up a little excitement, and I missed out on it at the very beginning. So I'm going to be picking this up so I can kind of play catch up with it, because it seems like it's been a pretty good book as far as what I'm hearing from everyone.
75?
Yeah.
Okay, so die number 19. I'm just going to say, it says the final encounter approaches for issue 19. So it is still possible that issue 20 is the final issue. So I'll move on now.
I heard that before.
Yeah.
Have you been keeping? Are you up to date as far as everything that's come out?
I am on issue 15.
Okay.
So I'm only 1 or 2 issues behind on Die. So
does it seem like it could wrap up at 20? And
it could have. It could have wrapped up at. I think it could have even wrapped up at 10. So I think he just probably wanted to tell a particular story, and he wanted to include these. He wanted to like introduce all these little other sides of the Die. I think is the best way to describe it in the world. It kind of took a weird turn where it's become a thing where this fantasy world has the potential to destroy the actual physical Earth.
Oh.
So that was kind of an odd turn for me, but it's still been pretty good. So
cool. Yeah, I read the first trade and really enjoyed it. So
my next thing is in Dark Horse on page 124. So if you got anything between there and 124.
Yeah, I'm on page 94, also in Dark Horse. It's a new title from the world of Black Hammer called The Unbelievable Unteens, written by Jeff Lemire, not some other writer. And the artist is Tyler Crook. I don't think I know who Tyler Crook is, but
he did the Harrow County series.
Oh, he does? Okay.
Like that kind of watercolory kind of stuff. It's really good art.
Okay. Anyway, it's a teenage team in the Black Hammer universe. So it's a 4-issue series, so it might be worth picking up. It's a gem of the month, and Lemire, if he's writing, I'm probably going to be pretty happy with the results.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dark Horse has they want to do something with double E's this month, because you have the Unbelievable Unteens. You have the Killer Queens, okay, and then you have Creeping. So you've got at least 3 of the first 4 books are double E books. So there you go. I don't know if that means something. Probably not, but anything else Dark Horse before 124?
On 108, there's a new number 1 for Lucky Devil, a new series, and the concept seems interesting, that this kind of schlub gets the powers of a demon, and then the legions of hell aren't very happy with that, and so they're coming to get him. But the only reason I really actually flagged it is because of the top of it. It just says colon bun with an exclamation point. And that was just an odd little excitement thing that they had there.
Yeah. There's lots of Cullen Bunn again this month because like a couple pages later you get another
You
Tales
get another
from
one.
Well, you get another. Yeah. It even says it up at the top. Yeah. I guess Dark Horse is focusing on creators, so like if there's a big creator, they're putting them up at the top.
Yeah, because you got a
There's
Neil
like
Gaiman
Neil
version.
Gaiman
Yeah.
and, yeah. Aubrey
Sitterson.
Yep. So
Before you go too far, Scott, though, on 117, I'm always intrigued by the EC archives. I wouldn't buy every one of them. I mean, they're $50. But Frontline Combat is the one that's kind of highlighted. It's covering, numbers 12 through 15. Wow, that's not many issues. They must have been, it's still 52 pages. But anyway, it's just EC reprints. I think it's always something to pay attention to, whether it's romance or war or horror or just weird stuff like Panic, or psychoanalysis. So you can always find something you like.
124. Go
Sorry.
ahead. That's okay.
I just scanned by the Gru meets Tarzan 204, and that just reminded me we talked about it last episode.
So 124 RuneScape, the first 20 years in illustrated history. My kids spent so much time playing RuneScape, and I would spend a little bit of time playing that with them, and I just so there was just a little bit of memory there with RuneScape. But I used to always make WoW players mad by telling them, "Oh, WoW is just RuneScape with better graphics." So yeah. Anything else, Dark Horse?
No.
Okay. IDW?
I've got on 134.
Yeah, me too. Go.
We've got a new entry into the Star Wars: The High Republic Adventures. This as a 4-issue miniseries called The Monster of Temple Peak. We introduce a new character, Ty York, who appears to be a Jedi that's turned maybe hitman of some sort or hit person. Looks like they're going the other direction into doing some bad things.
Wow. Monster Hunter. Saber for Hire Monster Hunter.
Yeah, Saber for Hire. I like that.
There you go. Yeah, and anytime at this point with Star Wars where you're introducing a new character, you by golly better pick that book up. So because if you don't, you may not be able to get it later. So
yeah.
At a reasonable price anyway. So the bad part about them using the High Republic on everything is it's just making the titles ridiculously long. This is Star Wars: The High Republic Adventures, The Monster of Temple Peak. That's the title of this book. So it was long enough when it was just Star Wars: The High Republic, and then IDW had to add Adventures, and now they got to add the subtitle.
Yes.
Yeah, it gets a little wordy. So that was the only thing I had in IDW. You got anything else in IDW?
On 139, they are, as previously mentioned, they're soliciting the Lock and Key, the Golden Age, the collection that includes the Sandman Universe crossover, along with all of the other what they're calling the Golden Age stories for Lock and Key. So Golden Age has been everything that is, I think, their great grandparents from the original Lock and Key series. And this will include a new little short story called Face the Music, short like one shot that has not been printed anywhere else. So this will, if you have the trades for Lock and Key in your collection, this will be one you'll need to add to it.
For the completist.
That's right.
Dynamite. We ready for Dynamite?
Yes.
All right.
I'm on 160.
Well, I'm on 156. Tyler, if you're listening, new Kiss book. Kiss Phantom Accession #1. With not one, with not two, but with at least 17 covers. So,
get every one, Tyler.
That's right.
But that Jay Lee cover, that's pretty good.
So, yes, for all the Kiss fans. Be the completest there. Did you say 160, Mike?
Yes.
You go.
Okay, so I've liked Vincent Price since I was a kid, even before his appearance or cameo in the Michael Jackson Thriller video. But I've always liked him, and then I've always liked the when DC. Well, they were trying to figure out how to make House of Mystery work in the 80s. You know, it was a new decade, and the old horror, stories, they just weren't working anymore. So they basically add a little bit of TNA to see if that would work in humor. So they threw in this Elvira character, and I kind of there were some stories that were pretty hammy, but it was fun, and I thought it was humorous enough that I enjoyed it with that she had that big bouffant hairdo and other big B words, but I didn't mean to say that, but it just got kind of just tempting to the label on there. But yeah, I'm going to definitely get Elvira. Elvira meets Vincent Price, #1. It's $4 for something that looks like it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I had this down. My comment to myself was normally I would not ever mention an Elvira book.
Right.
It does have Vincent Price. So
yeah.
And there's lots of covers for this one too. 8, 10, 13, 14 covers for Elvira. So
Yeah,
Mike's going to pick up all 14.
Well, it is Dynamite, so.
Yeah, that is true. And lots of Elvira merchandise as well, including an Elvira Ouija board called the Dark Spectral Switchboard. Let's see. I think that's everything I had. Dynamite. That's Yeah, I had 2 things in Dynamite, which is 2 more than I usually have for Dynamite. So my next thing's in Boom 188. Anybody got anything before that?
Catching up.
All right. Well, I'll talk about Eat the Rich, a 5-issue series. Gets mentioned just for the title alone. So that's, I'm not familiar with these creators, Sarah Gailey or Pius Bach, but it is a psychological thriller for the fans of Stillwater and Nailbiter. So I think you can kind of have an idea about what's going on based on the title alone. So.
Yeah.
I do like the Jenny Frison variant cover for this issue as well. So it's like your, Midwest housewife, kind of standing there.
Right.
194 is my next thing. Power Rangers, just as another reminder, July 24th, Jason Fount, Red Ranger from Time Force, will be at the first Muddy Monster Minicon. So please come out if you can. 197, got the 5th issue of Magic the Gathering, though it's just actually Magic. And they also released the first trade for that. And 201, we got the trade for Abbott 1973. We did a review of the first Abbott book a while back, so this is the second series. I will read this at some point in the future, since it's not, pressing me reading something that's upcoming. I don't feel the need to read it right away, but I did enjoy
Unless
the first.
we decide to make it our book for review. I mean,
in which case I will then pick it up and read it immediately. So. Yeah. 202, Once and Future 19. Has this book been coming out regular? Does anybody know?
I feel like I've seen it pretty regularly. I couldn't guarantee that, but
we haven't mentioned it before, and I have read the first volume and loved it, and have not read the second volume yet.
Yeah, and I can't believe I've never talked about it before, because back in the day when I actually read prose books and novels, and not just comic books, I loved anything that had to do with King Arthur or Arthurian fiction, and I just consumed that stuff like crazy. This seems like the combination of two of my favorite worlds, King Arthur and comic books.
And a very different take on King Arthur.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well,
yes.
I'll have to look on maybe Comixology, or just look for a trade to order a trade?
Absolutely need to read the first trade. Okay, so
Okay.
I'll tell you this much. I went and picked up a graded 9A to the first issue of this because I liked the book so much.
Wow.
Okay, and the grandmother is one of the best characters introduced in I don't know how long in comics. She's terrific. So it's absolutely you need to read the first trade. And I need to get back.
Is it set in the past or in the
No,
present?
it's present. It's set present.
Okay.
So
that happens a lot. I mean, there's a lot of King Arthur stories where not to mention Camelot 3000.
Yeah, in the future, yeah. Well, I mean, he's the idea is that Camelot or King Arthur will return. The King Arthur is going to return to England at some point. So that's just the modern day. We get the potential return of Arthur. So, it's the first trade is outstanding. I'm there are some books that I'm like, why have I not finished Sandman? Why have I not finished Y the Last Man? Why have I not finished Once and Future? I'm into them, but I haven't caught up or gotten to it.
It's an embarrassment of riches, is what it is. There's so many things that we like in this hobby, and you know what? I'm going to tell you guys something. This is completely off previews topic, but my daughter and my wife were having a conversation about me and my comic book collecting, and my wife said my daughter called it my habit. And I was extremely offended by that.
Because the truth hurts, doesn't it?
Yes. It's not a habit, I don't think.
The first step in overcoming a problem is admitting that you have one.
Well, I'm not even there yet.
It's not a problem yet, though.
All right, my next thing is not until page 266. So what's everybody else got between here and 266?
On 216, we head into Porcelain, which is on the cover of this month's previews. I hadn't heard of. I guess there's this Maria Lovett had a previous book that she had done, the Eros/Psyche, and this is kind of her follow-up to that. It's a surreal, bewitching tale. And it seems to be just kind of let's see, she lives with her cat and her aunt, and she finds out that she can enter this dollhouse, and it's just this fantasy story. The artwork seems to be pretty kind of rough in a cool way. It's not super smooth lines. I like just the kind of almost Alice in Wonderland-y vibe that it's given me, but with a horror thriller element to it. And I can't say that I've read anything from this Ablaze publishing company, but this one caught my eye for sure. Not just because it was on the cover.
Ablaze has pulled together some really good creative teams for some past books. Sometimes they don't stick around a real long time. They maybe got like a 4 or 6 issue story that they want to tell, and then they move on to something else. But that Eros Psyche book that you mentioned, if you turn over a couple more pages, the first trade of that is in hardcover. So, and I'll mention this since Dan is no longer doing the podcast with us to mock me about it. But one thing that Ablaze does is they have QR codes on the printed page so that you can scan the QR code and get like a preview of the comic.
Oh, that's cool.
Directly. Yeah, see, I think that's cool, but I mentioned QR codes and he treated me like I was from 1990. It's like, what are you talking about?
I see them all the time still.
Yeah,
I was setting up a new phone for somebody the other day, and they said scan the QR code.
Exactly. How do you get the app? I set up an app just today. It's like scan the QR code, get the app. All right, I did that. Yeah, so Blaze, just talk about some of the creative teams. Like you got Peter Milligan on this God of Tremors, So yeah, I mean, so there's lots of. I think some J. Michael Straczynski stuff is pretty. He's pretty regularly does some. No, wait a minute. Is that a Blaze? That might be a different tie. That might be. Oh, maybe it's Aftershock. Actually, okay. Wait a minute. I'm lying. I'm a liar. It's Aftershock that I'm thinking of, not Ablaze. So
I see.
Never mind. I'm a liar. Anything else for 266?
Well, speaking of Aftershock, I've got on 228 Rainbow Bridge is a new story that is out with Steve Orlando and Steve Fox, with Valentina Brancati as the artist. It's a story of a boy and his dog, but his dog has passed away, and so he opens up the Rainbow Bridge, which lets him go into animal afterlife and track down his dog and kind of go on one last adventure. Kind of seemed Wizard of Oz ish in that way. The artwork seemed pretty cool on the second page. You get to preview a little bit of it, real bright. So yeah, I thought this seemed like an interesting book to pick up.
What page is that on, Chad?
That's on 228.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they're putting out a lot of good stuff. Aftershock.
Oh, and that's actually it's a graphic novel. It's coming out.
Oh, okay. I thought that was.
Yeah, it's coming out. I thought it was just a single issue or an ongoing, but it's
I see.
All in one.
Well, keep going until you get to 266.
I got on 232. Aftershock is doing a Peter Milligan book called God of Tremors, which is a one-shot story, just 48 pages. It's listed as a horror period piece taking place in the 19th century Gothic era, and it's got exorcisms, demonic worship, and epilepsy in it. But it has our character who has a seizure and is pulled out of school, and his parents think that something's wrong with him, that he's maybe possessed, and because it's not now, they don't have the technology and the science to know what a seizure is. They think that the kid's just possessed, and so it kind of takes you through the story of that possession and the weird kind of things that kind of get connected with the religion and the horror of going through those health scares. The artwork looks pretty cool from the interiors. I don't know if I've ever seen artwork from this Peter Kowalski, but it looks really interesting.
Where are we at? What page?
Oh, that was 232. Sorry.
Okay, no, I'm up on 251. I didn't want to go jump ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, we're a podcast that likes to celebrate the history of comics, and especially anniversaries. I don't care if it's the 5th or the 20th or the 80th, and we don't care if it's Marvel, DC, or Archie.
That's right.
So Archie Comics is celebrating 80 years with a book with 80 stories. So, I don't know about you guys, but I used to kind of prioritize my reading with superhero stuff. And then it was Archie. And then if there was absolutely nothing left, it was like Richie Rich or Hot Stuff, with some of that Harvey stuff. But I would read it if there was nothing left. But, there is something to be said for Archie Comics. It originally was called MLJ, and they had superheroes once upon a time. And just seems like, it looks like this is $15 for 704 pages. Yeah. I would probably get it for, my wife loves Archie. It's the only comic she'll read. My one daughter will read Archie comics, and then I'm hoping maybe one of my granddaughters would. So for 704 pages, $15 doesn't seem too bad.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Okay, I won't rag on Archie then. I'll just go on to page 266. So now, Mike, I think this is the book for you.
All right, let me get to it.
Heroes Union #1, The Cosmic Crusade, written by Roger Stern, art by Ron Frenz and Sal Buscema, cover art by Ron Frenz. So this basically looks like a, Copper Bronze Age superhero team, because that's basically the creators that you have for this book. They the characters kind of remind me. There's a video game called Freedom Force, and the characters kind of remind me of the characters that had come from that video game. Though, as far as I can tell, they're not.
Right.
but yeah, if you are a fan of copper bronze superhero group stories, then this book on page 266 from Binge Books is something that you should definitely check out.
Yeah, it
$5
definitely
for
caught my
60.
eye because on 267 they've got a big page of it.
Hmm.
You can kind of see a little bit more of the character art in there, and I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's 64 pages for only $5.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then now I don't have anything till 352.
All right,
I'm on
trying to find-
319.
You guys go ahead. I'm looking around for tomorrow's.
Okay.
That's
On
the
on
soft-
three. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I have to get past some of the craziness here. All right, go ahead.
On 319, Magnetic is putting out a book called Ashes, Ashes, which is actually based on a novel from 1943 of the same name, it seems like, by Renee Barhavel. And it's that book is evidently one of the top 100 influential sci-fi novels, and has kind of set in place the stories of the apocalyptic kind of storylines we see. It says that provided the roots of The Walking Dead and a lot of survival stories. So a comic book adaptation of something that kind of gave birth to what we see so much of now. It seems like it might be pretty cool to dive into that. The artwork seems pretty well done as well. Let's see, Ray McCulty and Walter. Just Walter, one name, Walter. Are doing the art, and J.D. Morvan is doing, I guess, the adaptation of it. But this seemed like it's a hardcover trade of just all in one. But I can think of so many different stories that probably were influenced by this. If this is indeed one of the originals when it comes to that post-apocalyptic wasteland and survival kind of horror to it all. So I thought it'd be interesting.
And while you were talking about that, something on page 318 caught my eye, this After the Fall, because they mention Fist of the North Star, which is like one of the handful of manga anime that I ever could really get into. So this is also a hardcover one-shot post-apocalyptic tale 116 years after the fall. So I'm going to have to review that a little bit more, just because, again, if it's tying into Fist of the North Star, that might be something pretty cool.
Yeah.
I had to add that 319 because I'd missed that, or I saw it, but I didn't catch that note about it being the basis of so much other stuff. So I'm definitely gonna have to check into that. Had to decide if I want to read the book or just read this. It's like Classics Illustrated or the actual book.
Right.
352.
Go ahead.
All right, so 352 from Titan. We have the first of two issues, Elric, the Dreaming City, and Elric was created by Michael Moorcock. This is a character that, several times a year when I am able to set up at conventions, there will inevitably be somebody asking me if I have any Elric. So this is just a 2-issue series with a cover by Mike Mignola. So not much of a commitment, and you have the albino warrior of Michael Moorcock's creation for a new story. So let's see. I think that's all I have in the back of the book until we get to the apparel.
Same for me.
All right, Mike, have you seen anything?
What was that last page you were on?
I was on page 352.
Yeah, I'm perusing the tomorrow section.
Okay.
And I think I figured out why this book is still just as thick as it's always been, because I was trying to scroll through and scroll, and it's just a lot of ads in between these sections.
It's always had ads. I mean, those have been here before, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just going to say on 261, tomorrow's the latest issue of Back Issue is
361.
I'm sorry, 361. Thank you. It's highlights Jack Kirby's The Demon, Etrigan the Demon, and Commandy, the Last Boy on Earth. It was basically when Jack Kirby, King Kirby, came over from Marvel to DC in the early 70s. He basically let loose with all of his concepts and ideas, and wow, were they some big concepts. The writing always didn't keep up with the ideas. The art was usually really good. But yeah, so if you have an affinity for Jack Kirby and some of his most outlandish ideas, this seems like it'd be a good issue to pick up to read about in back issue number 131.
Yeah, and what's crazy is, the Demon and Commandi and, OMAC, those were all creations after the Fourth World, quote unquote, failed.
Mm-hmm.
Which is hard to imagine people considering that to be a time kind of a failure, as important as those characters have become to the DC universe.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and it just goes to show Kirby truly was other than his great art, he was an idea guy.
Mm-hmm.
Such a great imagination. He may not have been the greatest plotter or scripter, but that's what he had Stan Lee for all those years. That's what I think. That's what that combo did so well because of that. But at DC, I think they capitalized on some of these ideas, and even like the Demon, and to an extent, Commandy, even OMAC. I mean, OMAC was big in the Infinite Crisis. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's good stuff.
A Kirby book that I was surprised. It was like, towards the end of his life when he was working for some independent publishers, he had a book called The Silver Star. And I had never read that, but then they released a graphite edition where it was just Kirby's pencils, but it had the entire comic, and it looks really good, and the story was surprisingly good. Maybe I just went in with kind of low expectations for it because, but yeah, it actually was really, really solid. So
yeah.
424 is my apparel mention, unless you got anything before 424.
Nope.
Okay.
I do want to. It's the very next page, and it's again. I really focus on comics or books about comic books, and there's a book called Al Plastino, The Last Superman Standing, and he was a very well-known Superman artist in the late 40s and through the 50s, even into the 60s. But you'll know his style when you see it, and I can't say I know much about his history, but that makes me all the more intrigued into and want to buy this book. It's 112 pages. It's basically illustrated biography for $18, and I'm writing this down right now to let Mike know. Mike Noe.
Mike Noe. Yep. 424. We have some Bizarro. I have a Bizarro T-shirt. I think it's been a while since we've seen a Bizarro Superman T-shirt. There's also, they offer again the Red Sun Superman logo with the sickle instead of the S, which is kind of a nifty look. And then on 420,
I have to turn my laptop upside down to go over to the other side of the book.
Probably not. No.
No. Okay.
Yeah. I think they fixed that.
Oh, good. That was,
yeah. And on 426, this is another one that's offered again. There's a Doctor Strange shirt, which it almost looks like, I can't tell for sure because the image is so small that it's almost like him with the mask. I can't tell, but it seems like about that time frame. I don't know which artist this is on Doctor Strange, but it would probably look good as a blacklight poster.
I like on 425, they've got there's a Dark Knight, I guess it's DK3 face T-shirt. If I am interested in this shirt, it looks like they nailed that blue. Like that seems like the right blue for it. And I thought, well, that would be an interesting shirt color to have. Would be like that perfect blue that's in that book, and just have a big Batman on your chest. Be kind of cool.
All right, ready for the flip side?
Flip.
I've only got one thing on the flip side, so page 83. So just tell me when it's my turn.
Okay. I got on page 17. You can now get the entire Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem if you're into the Muppets. this would be the best collection of the Muppets to have, in my opinion. But yeah, you can get each of the action figures for $25 a pop. So I guess for $125 you can get the whole band and have them all play some music for you.
Getting the band back together.
That's right. Then I'm on 94 is my next one.
Okay, well, 83, and I really am primarily just mentioning this so I have something to say on side 2 of the book. But if for fans of like, was it Hercules and Jason and the Argonauts, those old stop motion films from the, gosh, was it 60s and 70s? They have the Talos statue. So it's not something you see a lot of merchandise for. So I kind of thought that was worth pointing out. So something a little bit unique, and it has a normal version for only $200, a deluxe version for $289. So if you're gonna get it, go big. Get the
That's
deluxe
right.
version.
Get the islands around it.
Yeah, exactly. But yep.
Then on 94, I haven't seen a lot of the Disney Plus shows, merch, the Marvel Disney Plus shows, but there's a WandaVision Toon Tumblers, pint glasses. So there's you can get the Westview glass, and you can get the Wanda and Vision glass, kind of in their animated states, like their I Dream of Jeannie kind of beginning role. Kind of looks like that animation, similar. So I thought that was kind of neat. I hadn't seen those yet.
It takes all of my strength at conventions to not buy every single Toon Tumbler that I see. Because I have to remind myself there is no place to put them, and you don't want to use them. Yes. So there's no point in having them if you're not going to display them, and you're not going to display them. So don't bother getting them. But I always want to buy them.
I'm a sucker for getting all the
Yeah.
Burger King and McDonald's glasses from the 80s and 90s. I want to collect them all every time.
Yep. So I just had to remind myself, you're setting yourself up for failure. That's all I got in both books, or in all the books. So any last thing you want to mention, Mike, from one of the catalogs?
You had to ask, but I was scrolling through here on page 52 on the back of the book are some Funko Pop figures, and the only one that really caught my eye was Marvin the Martian, and I always liked him on the old Looney Tune cartoon. So yeah, that would be fun to have. The only Funko Pops I have are the Tombstone characters from the Western movie, but this would be a good one to have standalone.
Mm-hmm.
I am proud to say that I do not own any Funko Pops. So, all right. So now the important part of the episode. Oh, I skipped one. I just was scrolling through my notes on page 77 of side 1. The Good Asian is now a 10-issue series. So I think it was a 10-issue series.
Issue. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you have me going out. Man, that's already going to be on. Yeah.
No, it's a 10-issue series. I think it was originally offered as an ongoing, but now and maybe I just missed this before, but now it is a 10-issue series. So, all right. So, Mike, you want to go first? You want to do your favorite, or you want to do your investment pick?
Well, you already know how little I was prepared for this, because work got in the way, life got in the way, and I don't have an investment pick, but I do have what I'm looking forward to, and that is, and it maybe could count as an investment pick too, and that's John Ridley's Black Panther. It's one of my rare non-DC, what I'm looking forward to the most picks. I really like Ridley's writing, what he's done so far with Batman and history, the untold history, or the other history of the DC universe. So I look forward to that. I could go back and say, well, maybe one of those new villains in the Batman series, but we're having a new villain just about every month.
Yeah.
That's starting to fade out. So I honestly, legitimately don't have an investment pick. But if you have an extra, I'll take yours.
Oh, okay. Shaad, what do you got? What are you looking forward to? What do you think people should pick up?
Gosh, I feel like the one that I am looking forward to the most is just to see what they're going to do with the Batman 89. I mean, it seems like when they announced this, I was really excited for it. I think everybody's going to be aware of it. So it's probably not going to be the investment book because everyone will pre-order it, everyone will be involved in it. So that one, but I am looking forward to that one for sure. And then on the investment side of things, I don't know. It's a toss-up. I'm interested in the Unbelievable Unteens, the book with Jeff Lemire and Tyler Crook. Is like one of these days, one of these Black Hammer books is gonna hit in a bigger way. It's gonna become not just big in comic book world. They're gonna pick something up as a series, or it's gonna have just something. And so it's weird. This one seems weird enough that it could potentially maybe be something that catches the wider eye of everyone else. I don't know.
Could be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of now. I think that both the Batman 89 and Superman 78, I think that those are books that are going to have long-term interest. And even if those books sell 100,000 copies, which is a big selling book for a modern comic book, there are more than 100,000 people out there who are fans of those movies. So I think it's one of those things that after the fact, people are going to be looking for those books. You know, it's like, oh, there was a Batman 89
that came out.
Yeah. You know, so I think it will have some long-term interest, even more so than like the Batman 66 books did, because I mean, there were people who were interested in Batman 66, but the audience for Batman 89, I think, is significantly larger than the Batman 66. So I think that, I mean, I'm not talking about those books being worth hundreds of dollars, but
could be a $10 book.
Oh yeah, exactly. If 6 months after it comes out, could you get twice cover price for that book? I think absolutely. So you know, that would be a book that would be worth picking up. Just for the silliness, I'm definitely going to grab some first appearance of Jerry the Pegasus and Wonder Girl number 4. I think I am probably I got 2 books I'm kind of looking forward to, and one of them is potentially an investment pick, but the John Ridley Black Panther, to see what he does new with the character. I'm really interested in that. And I'm also really interested in that Kashala Sorcerer Supreme Spirit of Vengeance character that's going to be that one-shot Spirits of Vengeance Spirit Rider number 1. So I think there are some things, and you could even pick some things like Echo Lands or The Me You Love in the Dark, just if it's, if Scotty Young finally gets his series that hits, then that could be one as well. So, but I think to me, the obvious money pick, because they tell you there's a new character, is Star Wars: The High Republic Monsters of Temple Peak number 1.
That's a good point. Yeah,
because that, if that character gets an animated series or pops in Mandalorian, well, it won't be a Mandalorian, but it gets mentioned in Mandalorian season 4 or 5 or whatever, then the interest in that character will skyrocket. So, all right, well. So Mike Atchison, for the listener to claim their prize, where can they contact you at?
At Mike Atchison 5 on Twitter.
All right, Shaad, what about you?
You can find me at Shaad Schubert on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
And then I'm Scott Reed. You can find me at burgcomics.com, BURG comics.com, for links to Facebook and Instagram and eBay store and all of those fun sites. So thank you for listening. Don't forget about the Muddy Monster Minicon, July 24th, and we hope to see you there. Have a good one.
Well, if you go On the video side of things, I know the Sweet Tooth show drops on Netflix on this Friday on the 4th. Oh, really? Yeah. I didn't know that. And then the first episode, I know it's not independent, but or DC, but the first episode of the Loki show will be out on the 9th. It looks like. Yeah. So if everybody had a chance to watch the first episode, I don't know if you'll have access to your Disney Plus over there, Mike. But depends on how many people my daughters have shared our. You know how you can fix that, don't you? Just change your password. Yeah. Next time, like, why haven't my daughters haven't called me in a while? I know. I'll reset the Netflix password. You gotta call you. That's awesome.